Hey guys, so we finally got the exhaust done, or what we're going to call done. The only thing left now is whenever we put our wideband in, we'll put in the bungs for the O2 sensors, and maybe one hanger in the front, because right now it's hanging on the downpipe. Probably should put a hanger there. But other than that, we're calling the exhaust done. We did some, on the previous video, should be the previous video for you guys, we actually fired it up and gave it some revs, and I'm really happy with it. It sounds really good. So overall, pretty happy with that. So now we have lots of other things that need attention. So the exhaust was a big thing. We got a lot of little things and maybe some medium things. So let's start here, this corner. See, our turbo has no air filter and we got a power steering reservoir right in the way. So just a second, I'll grab the filter and I'll show you what we're going to be using. Alright, so this is the filter we're going to use. As you can see, we have some space problems. One, it doesn't fit at all, and then two, it's also hitting the reservoir. So now that I'm looking at this, I don't know if this is even possible, but we never let that stop us before. So we'll figure something out. I guess maybe, yeah, that pokes up out of the hood if we did that. I don't know. We got to figure out an intake. We'd like to use this filter. We already have it. It's gigantic. It's got one of those recessed filters as well. And I could probably do a separate video, but probably 4 years ago, back when I had a supercharger, I actually purchased 3 filters that were all this size. So I bought this, I think this is a Spectra. I also purchased a K&N, and I purchased an AMSOIL. And I actually did pressure drop measurements with all 3, and this is the winner, was the Spectra. It was the cheapest one. So, go figure. But we've been running that one ever since. So we got to figure out an intake, and depending on where it goes, that's likely going to mean moving the power steering reservoir. So if we do move it, we can see we got the hoses. Luckily those are, well, the factory hoses these are low pressure because it's on the reservoir side. So we can just unhook those and buy some hose that's the correct size and then route it wherever we go, which will probably go somewhere up in that region. There's some empty space up there. So we'll see. That's one thing we got to do. Let's see what else. These coolant hoses for the turbos. So this is just some regular hose with hose clamps. You can see it's flopping around. That doesn't look good. We need to redo that. We're gonna very likely switch to AN. So I'll have to get new fittings to go on the turbo. So it's got a AN instead of a barb, and then we'll make some new hoses. I'll show you guys how we do that when the time comes. I've got a whole builder's kit at our shop for making AN hoses. So new coolant hoses. This oil feed line's okay, but the little brackets that hold it, I'll probably get new ones. Those are kind of rusty. Maybe some heat shielding as well, since it's close to the exhaust. That boost controller, we are going to use a mechanical boost controller. I might get a different one. That's a cheap eBay version, so I may go buy a better one. We will, long term, we're going to use electronic boost control. We will use electronic boost control long term, and it will be of my design. I actually designed one of these in 2016 and ran it on the car for probably a year. It's pretty sweet. It's got some cool features. It's actually completely self-learning. So there's no PID anything to tune. You just put it on the car and it figures it out without overshoot. So it'll like start off at a low boost and kind of work its way up to your target without overshooting. And it worked really well. But we'll probably build a better version of that and put it on the car, but that's down the road. I'll certainly keep you guys some videos when that comes around. Like I say, our wastegate's not hooked up. Well, one of the ports is, but those hoses need to get swapped. We'll again try to go to AN. I'm sure they make fittings for that to go to AN, so we'll just have to find them and buy them. We got to put that O2 bung on the downpipe. We'll see. I'm considering putting dual widebands, but I don't know if I'm going to do it yet. I have one, the AEM X series. We're definitely going to run that. We may buy a second one. We'll see. What else? Anything over here? Oh, that brake booster hose. Never liked that. It's just a random hose with a check valve. Not very clean. Need to redo that. Some of these hoses, I don't even know what some of this stuff is, to be honest. I don't know if all this is used, or I don't know what it is. We got to clean that up. These heater hoses, so they have heat shielding on them, and that stuff works, but we got plastic zip ties right there, so that was done temporary to hold them out of the way for the downpipe, but we're going to have to do something about that. Either metal zip ties or you know, I don't know, something. But plastic's not going to work, obviously. See, right here, this wiring needs to get cleaned up. So the wires actually work great. This is good wire, and it's a heavy duty. I forget the gauge, but this is what they recommend. It's the beefy stuff for these IGN 1A coils. But we need to put some lume over this to clean it up, so we'll do that. Our spark plug wires, we need to remake those. Those are just old. They're actually wrapped in electrical tape. One day I kind of wondered if I had a misfire, and I was wondering if it was the wires. So I wrapped them to see if it made a difference, and it didn't. But those are probably 4 or 5 years old now, so I mean, those definitely need to get replaced. So add that to the list. Also, these coils, there's I think it's MSD Ignition came out with an aftermarket IGN 1A ignition coil. So the ones I have here are from DIY Auto Tune, and I think they rate these at 100 and something, like 102 millijoules, but you can push them up to like 200 or so, which is what I do. However, MSD came out with an even better one, and it's plug and play. So I'm definitely going to buy those and sell these because I want the upgrade and for all the boost I run. So that's going to happen. This valve cover, I had a different one on the car that was painted and looked nice. And I took this one, I modified this breather thing. That's actually got a bigger tube and a bigger hose than from the factory, and all the internal baffling has been modified for higher flow. So I like this valve cover, but there's no finish on it, so you need to do something with that. Paint it or something, I don't know. Guess it could get anodized maybe, but you need to do something with that. If you guys got an idea, let me know. Because I've tried painting it with this wrinkle paint, and it looks good when it's new, and you can see that charge pipe actually held up because the charge pipe is steel, and for whatever reason, I know how to clean steel and paint it, and the paint lasts. These were all done at the same time. But then the manifold, which is aluminum, I cleaned it the best I could, but it obviously wasn't good because it's all flaking off. So if you guys got an idea of how to fix that, let me know. But definitely all that kind of stuff needs to get fixed. Let's see, look over here. Our cooling fans, we got to get a PWM fan controller put back together. Definitely got to work on that. There'll be videos. That's our, right there in the background. I'll zoom in a little bit. This is our test stand that we were using. That's a pair of SPAL fans, and then that's a pair of eBay fans, and then there's a board probably hanging off the side if I'm being honest. Well, I don't see it. Anyway, there's a board somewhere over there that we use for, that was the development board I was testing on. Just never got it working or never finished it, just moved on, but got to get that going. That's actually a product I want to sell whenever it's finished, because the biggest reason I'm building it was to sell it, and the options that I saw that you could purchase, there's a lot of them have bad reviews where you buy it, it works, and then it breaks, which is, I built one years ago and I had the same outcome, so I think I know why they break. But it turns out building one that's bomb-proof is a lot harder than I thought it would be. But we'll get it eventually. We can see messy wiring over here. Most of this is just left over from the fans and from testing some other stuff. We'll do that. We'll get that cleaned up. We may upgrade the throttle body. So you can see there's a piece of silicone bolted between it. We did this for vibration isolation, and it seemed to work. We haven't, so I'll show you. The heads of the bolts have rubber, which is all old. I need to replace that and put fresh rubber there. So that kind of dampens the vibration. It basically decouples the intake from the throttle body to try to knock down the peak vibration, so hopefully we don't break another throttle blade. Because that happened at the track a while back. And since I did this, it hasn't broke. But that looks like it needs to be refreshed, so we'll do that at a minimum, but I may upgrade to a different throttle. We'll see. Let's see, over here, you can see lots of stuff needs to get cleaned up. Some paint flaking. I actually painted that. That's sad. Well, I think I painted that. Anyway, I can see paint flaking on some of this stuff. We got to clean that up. This fuel pressure regulator, the bracket broke, so it's just floating around. That's obviously got to get changed. Maybe relocated, because it's really not a good spot for it. Need to do that. This oil hose leaks. So long term, I want to change this whole coolant hose setup, but we're not going to do that right now. So short term, we're going to replace that hose that leaks. You can actually see it looks kind of wet. Maybe you can see that. Yeah, looks kind of wet. That's it's like oil seeping through the hose. It's weird. So we'll replace that for now. Let's see. This catch can, as bad as it looks, is working. You can actually see it's even got oil in it. We modified the baffling for that. But we can see that bracket looks horrible, so at a minimum we'll paint it or redo it or something. I'm kind of okay with this. It needs a bracket, but electrically this works good. What else? Oh, the dipstick. Yeah, we got a new one. We just got to swap it out. That thing sucks. And then we'll do the transmission pan gasket while we're down there. And we'll probably, no, we need to plan this. But while that transmission pan's off, we're going to drill and tap it and put a temperature sensor so that we can monitor the trans temperature. We're going to, even if I just buy a gauge and hook it up, we are doing that. I want to see what the trans temps are, because this is a race car and I'm going to be using the trans brake and racing. And one of the things that I didn't show you, because it's underneath this cover, there's a trans cooler there. And I'm thinking about moving it possibly either to the middle of the car or the back of the car so that I can clean up some of the space here for other heat exchangers. And that may work, pulling in hotter air from the back to cool the trans. I think that could work with a good fan, but we'll definitely need to be able to monitor trans temps to ensure that we haven't created a problem, or that we have a problem now. Let's see, we also need to do a EGR tube at some point, which the valve's not even on here. We can see it's just blocked off. So I have the EGR valve, I have a gasket for it, I even have a new gasket. I have 1/2-inch tubing and I have a mandrel bender. The real hard problem is it's just, you kind of need to pull the motor to gain access to the back of the car to really route it and all that. So add that to the list of things that needs to get done. We need to get that hooked up. And yeah, this whole intake manifold needs to get painted. You know, that'll probably be done whenever the valve cover's done. Get on the boost pipes, get all that stuff cleaned up and painted, or whatever we decide. Let's see. Little piddly stuff needs an oil change. I don't know. Maybe that's it. Man, that's a list of stuff, isn't it? Seems like 20 or 30 little things that need to get done. But yeah, that's kind of a summary of all the things to come. So to be honest with you, I don't even have a plan. I guess I need to make a list and try to list all this stuff on paper and then estimate hours and try to get a order of what needs to happen first and second and so forth. Get a plan together so we can start making more progress now that we got this exhaust finished. All right, guys. Well, gotta take it easy.